Aloha everyone, this is Z808 and I am back with another Hero's Guide. Today we are going to talk about Rozenciel. As I have already mentioned in my past few videos, she has completely changed the way many players pick ban, as well as completely changing their box due to her skill set. I'd like to make a few recommendations on common skill sets, gear selection, recommended soldiers, how to use her effectively in Apex Arena, and finally how the heck you beat her, right? So let's start with understanding her talent and her skill set first. So her talent is pretty insane, called Crystal Cream. Mine is only 4 stars, so once you get to 6 stars, she actually takes 25% less AoE damage. So AoE damage taken is decreased by 25%. And when casting skills on a unit, it dispels 1 debuff, applies 2 additional crystal stacks of Crystal Barrier, and which immunes the next 1 debuff, and it can be stacked up to 5 times. This effect cannot be dispelled. And in addition, at 6 stars, all friendly units within not 2 but 3 blocks restore HP and equal to 1.5 times Rozenciel's intel and gain 1 stack of Crystal Barrier. That's a mouthful. That's a lot. But basically, in a nutshell, your heroes who is around and their turn around her is able to get healed up. They are able to gain this Crystal Barrier, which make them immune to debuff, and you can have up to 5 stacks of these. Very, very powerful, especially when Season 5 was all about debuffs. Now, for her skills, there are quite a bit, and I think we just want to focus more on the important ones. First one is her 3C, which is called Crystal Ward. It does have a cooldown of 5 rounds, and it's a span of 4 blocks. That's pretty good, decent size. Heals multiple units within span with 3 times the caster's intel, and applies Crystal Healing. So Crystal Healing allows them that when they take damage, when being attacked and take damage, including AoE damage, it will heal HP equal to Rozenciel's intel 1.5 times. It does last 2 turns. Also grants Crystal Crest. This is more of a bad thing for Rozenciel, because she would not be able to attack, move, and be displaced or use skills. Which kind of sucks, because she just kind of land there and look pretty. However, her healing amount increases by 20%, and damage taken is reduced by 20%. So it makes her a bit more survivable. Even expands her command range by 1, and also blocks 1 instance of fatal damage. Now keep in mind that 1 instance of fatal damage will only take effect after she actively uses her 3C. And if she dies, I believe she only recovers, I don't know if it's like 1% or 5% of her HP. Is very, very minimal. So any type of after fixed damage will kill her. Alright, and in addition, after taking action, restore HP of all other friendly units within talent range for an equal amount of 2 times her intel, and apply 2 stacks of Crystal Barrier. Last two turns. So even though she can't really move, she can still end turn, and when she does that, she will heal her allies, as well as give them 2 stacks of Crystal Barrier. The Crystal Crest cannot be dispelled and ignores immunity. This unflinching effect can be triggered only once during the effect's duration. So very, very powerful 3C. Other ones that she'll use would be her Crystal Restoration. It's there's no cooldown, but it only heals 3 times the caster's intel, and also gives the Crystal Healing, which lasts 2 turns, which if they get damaged, it will heal 1.5 times her intel. The mass crystal healing is very similar, except it has a range of 3 and span of 3, but the cooldown is 2. So you can basically heal up your, it's like a AoE healing, but the overall heal itself multiplier is rather low. Other quite useful skills would be Miracle, which is similar to what Tiaris has, which also not only does it have the healing of the 3 times, but it gives them the buff of the attack damage increased by 15% and damage taken decreased by 15% in this last 2 turns. So it's a trade-off between buff this way or the crystal healing buff. Another useful, and it's very situational, is her. She's also a Empire faction buffer. And her faction buff is quite strong because it also basically when initiating battle you increase damage by 12%, but before forced into battle it dispels 1 buff from the enemy. So that in itself it's really good, especially if it's if they have a lot of single target and they're trying to damage you, hit your tank, you would dispel one of their buffs. Definitely one of the stronger faction buffing skills. And another skill worth mentioning, but not really as much used depending on what it is the Ice Dragon Breath, which is the same skill I believe Gizaroth may have. It's a 3 straight lines, 5 blocks, 0.36 AoE damage, but it reduces the enemy's vulnerability by 1 block for 2 turns. And is very extra effective against Lancers. Okay, so with all of that said, what are the most common skill set that she would use? So the most common would be these ones right here. So her 3C, her single target heal, and her mass crystal healing. This allow her to be a very effective healer, AoE healer, or just a healer in general. The less common one, which is depending on your team composition, is to actually not use her 3C. You can go with this combination as well. So you can have a faction buff and have 2 AoE heals, or single target heal, depending on what where your needs are. So that's another option that you could do. There are some meme boxes where Rozenciel is typically meant to be a tank push healer. However, if you want to be very aggressive type of playstyle, you can actually do this. So you can start off with rushing forward, buffing yourself, your team either with Miracle or Mass Crystal Healing, getting them the buffs, and then participate in the AoE down the other teams. So those are some of the things ways that you can use. Of course, there are other skills. I'm not gonna mention them as I don't really think or feel like they are as useful. But most commonly, definitely her 3C and her other crystal healing skills is my recommendation. Okay, well, that's quite a bit. I'm gonna pause here real quick. Okay, the next thing we're gonna look at is gears, and since her skills multiplier, the healing multiplier, is quite low, you actually want to focus on gears that will give her plus healing. This is what I would recommend. I don't have the perfect gear because I didn't want to draw on the banner. But for weapon, Goddess's left hand, it gives you the plus 15% healing. And if for odd reason you need to attack with her, you can to reduce the multiplier by 2 and makes them so that the tank cannot guard. As for the head gear, right now I would definitely say HP. Besides Intel, HP is her second best stat, so highly recommend using the Tennyo's Headdress, and of course the Tennyo's random buff is just godlike, so highly recommend using that. For her accessory, there are a couple options. I think for optimization, True Cross is probably the best one because you get intel, and you get her second best stat, which is HP. In addition, you also get the plus healing of 15%. Now, for armor, I don't have the best armor, but I am using a leftover from my tiaras for now. But I do plan to, hopefully eventually I'll get the new caster chest piece, which is actually in the banner right now. Let's go jump to the banner, which is this one here, right here, the Twilight Guard. And the Twilight Guard gives you plus 10% healing. So that's really good for her. That's really good. So let's go back and look at her again. And finally, for Enchant, there's really no reason to use anything else but Crystal, because Crystal gives you an increased healing of 20%. So if you do the math there, that's 15% from the weapon, 10% from the chest that I don't have, that's 25%. You get another 15 from the accessory, so that's 25 plus 15 is 40. And you get the extra from the enchant, that's 20 plus 40 is 60%. And finally, you do want to have the right soldier choice, which with bishops, if you have max bishops, it gives you another 15%. So that's 60 plus 15, a total of 75%, if I did my math correctly there. I think I did. So if you want to use her as a healer, that's definitely the recommendation to use her. And then keep in mind that when she uses her Crystal Ward, that's another healing amount plus 20%. So at that point, she just like Super Saiyan mode as a healer when she transforms with all those, with the correct gear, the correct enchant, and the right amount of plus healing. My intel is very low, especially because she's only 4 stars. But typically, ideally, you want to have around 430 to about 450 green intel to make her that super effective healing. I know it's achievable, but it's very difficult. But it would really bring her to the next level. Once she's at 6 stars with about 430, 450 intel, definitely over 3000 HP. Defense and magic defense would be nice to have, but it's really just that. It's nice to have. Alrighty. In addition to bishops, you can also, depending, especially if you are weaker and if you notice that the other team has a strong Ares or a strong AoE that's incoming, Shrine Maidens would be a good pick, because when they hit you initially, you won't get one shot. The only reason why you would use a sorceress, because let's look how cool and sexy they look. Okay, no, that's not the main reason why you pick sorceress. Is when you are playing very aggressively and you want to be using her as an attacker. It is possible. If you have double healers, sometimes it makes sense to use her more aggressively and with one of the other skill sets that I recommended earlier. But other than that, all the other troops like the Empress Guard or the Sky Archer may not be ideal. Holy Pegasus, yeah, you probably never use those. I don't know even why she have those. But my recommendation would be probably Bishop, then Shrine Maiden, maybe Sorceress. And obviously I have Sorceress here to inflate my my total power, right? So just kind of ignore my power. Alrighty. Now that we have concluded her talent, her skills, her gear set, as well as her soldiers, we would like to take a look at what she's good at. Ideally, you want to use her for slow tank push and buff up all your teams. This means taking a turn or two to set up close to Rozenciel before engaging, because well, at 6 stars, it can be at, as long as they're within 3 space, they can get the buff from her. Honestly, I really didn't have that many games to kind of show off how powerful it is, and I think most of you have already fought her in battle, and you can already attest on how effective she can be as a deterrent for debuffers and as a healer. So instead of showing you how great she is in battle, I think we all know why we are watching this video, right? We're not here to figure out how powerful she is. Rather, you're here. I think you are rather here to hear about how to beat her. So, depending on your box, there are different ways to deal with her. As my favorite strategy has always been AoE. It is very frustrating and intimidating to face a Rozenciel on my opponent's team, especially if you if for some reason if you ban her first and your opponent picks Juggler, then you know your AoE strategy kind of falls apart. So here are 5 recommendations that could be effective, and again, really depends on what your box is. The first one is improving your pick ban, and I know that is very vague, so I believe now is a good time to kind of show off what I mean by that in particularly. So let's take a look at how it works. So let's go with this one here. So with meat. So ideally is to look at the other your opponent's box. So depending on how many tanks and healers they have, you can effectively either ban out one or the other. Now, for example, this box here, you have 3 tanks, right? You have Landius, you have Maiden, and you have Juggler. So essentially, if I ban a tank first, anyway, how many healers does he have? He has Liana, Rozenciel, and Iris. So 3 tank, 3 healer box. So my focus is, hey, if I want to AoE, what am I gonna do? I want to get rid of both Juggler and Rozenciel, since they have 3 tanks. Effectively, I should be able to bang a tank. If they pick up Rozenciel, I can ban out the other tanks eventually, or then that way I don't have to kind of deal with her. So let's see what happens. So I ban Juggler, and depending on what they pick, you have a choice, right? If they pick Rozenciel, I can ban other tanks. They didn't, so now I can then ban her out. So basically what I did there is I banned Juggler. They have 2 tanks left, and then I banned their 2 healers. So now they either have to, if they want a healer, they have to either pick Iris, or if they want a tank, they can pick one of the tanks, or they can just go straight out and say, hey, you know, forget about it. I'm going to use full-on, you know, aggressive attack mode. So they decided to pick a healer. So in that case, I just banned their tanks. So this way, I now have the control of how to engage. They have long legs, I don't really care. The Iris can do AoE or single target, but with my Juggler, I have full faith in being able to deal with him effectively. So that's one option, right? I got rid of both Juggler and I got rid of Rozenciel. So let's take a look at another example. Okay, so this is another one. Let's take a look at how the pick ban went. So if we take a look at this box, so there is 1, 2, only 2 tanks, right? And then there is how many healers? 1, 2, 3, but possibly 4, 5, 6. Quite a bit. So there's a lot more healers than tanks. So that's why I went my usual route of banning Juggler first. And if they pick a healer first, which most likely won't because they have so many healers, they pick a tank first, and now that gives me opportunity to get rid of Rozenciel. So, you know, whatever way that they have left, I would just have to pick ban diligently to basically counter their box. So that right there, I got rid of Juggler and I got rid of Rozenciel again with this particular pick ban. Let's take a look at another example. This one here. Okay, so let's take a look at this particular box here. So this box has 2 tanks, and they have 1, 2, only 2 healers. So to me, that was really odd. It's a 2 healer, 2 tank box. A lot of long leg characters. There is a Rachel that could potentially be a fairly good healer. So at that point, instead of banning Juggler, I decided to go ahead and ban Rozenciel first. And let's just take a look at the pick ban and see how it goes. So obviously they're gonna pick Juggler, and when they do that, I ban the rest of the healers. There's really not much healing left, right? If you look at it. So you know, that's another way of doing it, because now effectively he has 1 Juggler with no healers. He can, you know, rush me, but again, my style is really tank push. So with that said, it didn't end it well with it didn't end it well for my opponent. Okay, so that's 3 examples, right? It really depends on their box, and each opponent had completely different boxes, as you can see. But that's why doing pick ban, you cannot rush. You have to stop for a second, count how many tanks they have, count how many healers they have, and start thinking of a strategy on how to get rid of them. Unless it's obvious that they are a complete rush box, normally like they would have Estelle and Juggler only, and Akka and Imelda and all that, then you know they're most likely not gonna tank push. So if you see a tank push box, you have to practice your pick ban. Okay, so I'll stop there for the first recommendation. The second method is a bit more obvious. However, it depends on your box, because the recommendation is to pick strong single target attackers and make sure you have enough follow-up, since Rozenciel's weakest link is single target healing, and that's definitely not my box, so I can't really show off on how to deal with that. But you know, if you're a very single target box, then I would recommend making sure to ban Albedo first. Because if you're single character and you give him Albedo, then it's a death wish. You won't break through no matter what. Albedo will just will just keep on going. Okay, so that's the second recommendation. The third method is a bit more difficult, and that is to overwhelm their team with more debuffs than they can handle. Now, some of the more common characters who can do that would be Bozel with his exclusive, Rean, Rachel with her 3C, plus Licorice, and a few others. Even Rainforce, for example, who can do some crazy debuffs onto the player's team, but it has to be done in a way where you're putting it on consecutively. So let me because I'm a AOE box, so I'm gonna show 2 games just to kind of highlight or give an example of how it can be done. So the first one here is with Good Night. I put AOE debuff, and let's see how it goes. So I got rid of Juggler first. He got rid of my Rozenciel like right off the bat and picked Rean. Which makes sense because obviously he's going for that AoE. So I got rid of all his tanks and picked Juggler. Another one is that if using Juggler, I just absolutely hate dealing with Olandius. So that's why I got rid of the double Olandius. Good Night then picks Rozenciel. I got rid of good old Yulia there. He banned my healer, so I had to pick Liana fairly quickly. He picks a faction buffer for Rean. I get rid of the time people, and this is when I said, hey, you know what, I'm going to be counterintuitive and go with debuff, which I think the opponent probably didn't expect. And because he because he had Rozenciel and didn't expect it, he's giving me my dark team, which is really odd. And in the end, he even gave me Rean. Like, that's like the golden combo for AoE debuff. He does have Rozenciel, which is very strong. Also have Licorice, which is quite good, at least with 1 dispel. And then also have another healer of Florencia. So I mean, I would have personally picked Liana, judging by the team that I'm using. However, they decided to use Florencia. So let's see how the fight goes. It's very untraditional, no tank push. And I'm not even using single target, I'm going all AoE. So opponent is slowly gathering around Rozenciel to get the buff that they need. I'm slowly inching up forward, making sure to be aware of the range of Licorice's. Oh, look at that Tennyo breeze on Rean. That's painful, right? So once I saw that, it's like, hey, I may have to just rush. So that's what I did. But oh, another breeze. And immune to silence. I mean, Florencia is strong. Look at that intel, very decent with mass attack. Would be even higher. I don't think she's a 5-star because you get 4 points. Right? Ooh, over 1,000 intel. Anytime you have over 1,000 intel Rozenciel, it's a 2 thumbs up. 10,000 HP, and this is a 5-star Rozenciel because of this. But instead of having her 3C, she decided to use faction buff, which I don't really agree, but it does help. Yeah, it didn't really make sense to me because Florencia already have mass attack, which kind of gives the intel, but maybe she wanted more of the defense capabilities because Florencia is quite fragile. But they're building up their stats. Still staying back and building up the stacks, right? That's how you kind of use Rozenciel, is to slowly push forward. Especially they don't have a tank either. That I mean, but I don't have any single target that can one-shot anything, right? So went in and oof, Look at that silence on my Licorice. That's just so painful. But here I come with my first. Really didn't do anything. He was right back up. Give him more immunity. But I come in with Bozel. Kind of literally remove everything. So if you look at that, so I went in with Rean first. Oof, that heal block. And then I follow up with Bozel. So this ends up giving him a heal block. Nothing there, still okay. But then Licorice is, because she was too far away, she didn't benefit from her. She's nearly dead. So that was my first opportunity there. And also, I don't know why, but she didn't move forward and give her some healing. But she did use again on Rean to kind of follow up. But that's already a little late. Now Licorice is dead. But that did clear up his debuff, and now he can heal because of her dying. So I'm not sure if he planned that, but anyways, let's see what happens. So here comes Rean. I think a couple heal blocks I didn't see, and a clock. That's always rough. I haven't used my Licorice not even one time yet. Oh my god. And the ground is just horrible. She almost dead. Very lucky on my part, but because I survived, I was able to use my Angel. And then, bad positioning, bad positioning, my Liana is silenced and not able to heal. Now my tank is dead. So, you know, if you look at it this way, he has, you know, Yusuke, which is basically insane when you're fighting a tankless team. And yeah, he has 2 healers with Rean. He has full life and he has crystal buffs, and I'm like half dead. But that's the beauty of having Bozel, because he just do so much debuff, and he just and having clock and silencing is just so wonderful. So wonderful. And now because Licorice is no longer silenced, I'm able to recover a little, so heal back up. It's still silence here, but I changed the battle and the ground to be my side instead of theirs, and since they have no Licorice anymore, there's not much he can do. And that's where kind of sealed the deal. So why did that happen, and how it could have played differently? If my opponent brought 3C on Rozenciel instead, she would have healed their whole entire team up and give them a lot more immunity, and in that case I most likely would have lost. So I think it was more of a, I guess, picking the right skill for Rozenciel. So I think that was a misplay on my opponent. Maybe he didn't check. I'm not 100% sure, but at this point it's GG. It's GG, especially when I had clock twice. And I have to be 100% honest. My luck with Enchant sucks. Oh, another clock. And my playstyle is literally RNG, right? The only way I can win is depend on the clocks. Then that's why I picked all clock users, 3 clock users. So I mean, that's the only way I can win, I guess. So that's one example. Another, I want to show one more, and this one here I didn't have Rean. This one here I just had Bozel, and I had Licorice, I think. Let's take a look at. So Atzi, I think Atzi is way up in the ranks right now as well. So we both ban our jugglers, pick Landius, what I should have done at this point, instead of it's just too many real strong selection, like ODS, Rozenciel, Rean. I mean, she's a big threat as well. Big threat AoE and SPL win. So it was very difficult on the pick ban on when I was going through this. But I just can't deal with Rean and at that point I didn't have Rozenciel in my box. So that's why I had TR. So I had to get rid of Rean. So he picks Rozenciel second. I get rid of their debuffers because I don't really have a way to deal with them, excuse me. So he's get rid of my AoEs. Zarita makes sense, right? He can basically snipe anything with her 3C. I went with Luna. Why? I don't know. It's because Luna's sexy. He picks Arian Rod, which is not 100% why. I went with the AoE combo and went with more healing because I was a little bit afraid of Arian Rod, and I didn't know if it was a Lancer or a Horse Landius, but if he hasn't banned my SP Elwyn, chances are, my guess was 90% Lancer Landius, and he had with the Lancer Arian Rod, didn't make sense for me to pick Elwyn, so I went with more healing. So he has, he can, well, she can't really snipe, but she can buff one of them, I guess. She can buff herself. Yeah, so let's see how he goes. This is I found this game to be somewhat amusing, and you'll see it as how it kind of ends. Because you don't really, you can't really predict how it goes. Just based on pick ban, I think my opponent definitely have a much stronger team. Outside of that, he didn't have the faction buff for either Arian Rod or for Defense. But I think pick Arian Rod more for the dispel rather than the actual damage. So I slowly edge up. I'm gonna make sure I'm able to deal with Zarita there. Make sure Zarita doesn't snipe one of my my characters. Kind of block her off. Her using her 3C. And he's building up a lot of stacks of crystals. And just for this one, I think it's a 5-star. Let me just take a look quick. 830, no faction buff. No, 50. This is a 4-star. So this is a 4-star Rozenciel. The number of stacks between 4 and 5 is about the same. The healing is not as strong. The bishop is 15%, so that's a max bishop right there for healing. 830. The 830 intel is very decent with no faction buff. Pretty decent. Not sure what the healing gear is. Skill set is pretty standard. That's a decent deal, and yeah, it's a strong Arian Rod. Okay, let's see what happens. So buff up Arian Rod, and looks like is a 2-round. Yeah, so he's being smart and kind of recycling her with the Gospels. So their team is fairly buffed up with the stacks now. Yeah. 5, 4, 4, 5. So I'm just kind of waiting to see how he's going to engage. Not much action going on for sure. They're both putting like the. You look at me, I look at you. Okay, well, here's the first blood, right? Draw first blood. So what happened there? Not a shabby Zarita for sure, but didn't really do much, and the reason is because it's Luna, Bracer Luna, Backstab, and Twilight Star doesn't do anything with Special Tech Defense Command and on a city wall plus 30%. So I kind of baited my opponent there, and then you have Far Archer, doesn't matter. So yep, that's a good bait there. Thank you for doing that. So here I come, sort of lay the foundation so that if they decided to charge in, the ground is just... Oh, I love to see. Again, I win because of clock, right? I said that earlier. So here he comes, coming in, dispels, 3 dispels, I don't know what the heck he dispelled. Almost kill off Licorice, that's a strong one, but because I clock, I'm able to heal back up and then further make the ground difficult. Zarita's almost dead. Almost dead. But then she came in 3C, and this is how powerful her 3C is. Look at that. Literally full life for her whole entire team. 1 3C. Crazy, right? Crazy. But anyways, that's why we bring Bozel and trying to break off with the debuffs and clocked again. Yay! That's the only way to win. Not by skill, it's by RNG. Alright, so bring on the hurt. So that ground really makes a difference because every time they move on it, they lose a stack. So their stacks don't continue to go up. So here I am, kind of staring around with Luna. I believe the reason why he didn't move his Zarita is because Bozel like messed her up. I think that's what happened. What happened? Let's take a look. So no, why didn't she move Zarita? I have no idea. Wait, what happened there? Sorry, let me go back. I'm curious. Why didn't she? Oh, so it was silenced. Oh, okay, here, yes, mobility -2. So literally can't go anywhere. I think he wanted to stay within guard, so can't get sniped. Well, that's why you bring Bozel, right? The RNG. So here I am. Buff up my team, make sure they stay strong. And I think this is the part when it starts getting a little funny. Ouch, yeah, that bringing on the damage there. So now once she can't get, she's immune to debuffs. So if I don't kill her off with that, then yeah, it's not helping. But I did silence, which helped. Right? Ouch. Push me back there. But it's okay. That Liana with nice heals definitely saved the day. And unfortunately, can't survive. There's a Rita just. So now it is 5 against 4 with Rozenciel 3C completely protecting their team. That looks pretty bad. And But it's okay. We have Bozel. We have faith in you. He's a one-man army. Yep. Ooh, that saved the day right there. But yeah, got rid of the tank. Did I? Was that alright? Did I get a passive? Passive block, can't guard. Oh my goodness. Look at that RNG, right? So that's what saved the day there as well. So kill off the tank. Yeah, not got silence. Now I'm completely guarded and here comes Dilid. Suiciding. Yeah, you don't single target Albero, I'm sorry. That's her job. She just takes on the beating and keeps on going. But because of that, it's very different. With no tank, and it's so closed off now, there's really nowhere for Zarira to do hide and seek and use her 3Cs. So with Luna, it just, yeah, there wasn't much to do after that. So a lot of clock and RNG there, but if you have a strong Bozel with does a clock Bozel, it's definitely possible with the combination of Licorice literally just setting the ground all black. I guess that's the only way to put it. So that's two examples on how to sort of overwhelm Rozenciel with debuffs. But if you have basically Bozel, Rean, Licorice, and like for example Rachel's 3C, that's already 5 that we remove the debuffs completely. And then like Rainforce, where you can do like the double 3C, then that's basically all gone. And then there's a couple other options as well, but that's one way of dealing it with her. The fourth option is I was thinking, hey, maybe I could get smart by dealing with what's her name, with Rozenciel, and if she 3C, because basically when she 3C she can't move, she only can end turn. I was thinking, hey, maybe I can just use a push strategy and just push her into the fog and she would just die. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way because it says here, unable to attack, move, or be displaced. So if she 3Cs, you can't use, for example, Olandius or Aaron Rod and just push her into the fog. So nope, sorry if you thought about that, it doesn't work. I believe I tried that as well. She just stays there. However, the way to sort of deal with her is to separate her from her team. So if you look at the last battle, I couldn't separate them because basically was already in the middle and she 3C and she have enough range. But ideally, if you are able to put enough stress so that she 3Cs early away from like towards the beginning, and then you retreat back, then it makes it very difficult for the opponent to hang back and not either chase after you or not get the heals, and having Rozenciel sort of useless, I guess. So that's something to think about. I don't have a specific game that to show, but I believe that is a very valid strategy as well. And the last recommendation is to really snipe her with an assassin. So any type of because most I believe players would not use Bracer because if you use Bracer, there's no intel on it and no plus healing, then her healing just goes to crap. But let's just take a look at what are the most common accessories, right? That's not a Bracer, that's not a meditation ring. Nope. If you look at the most common items, Yep, more plus healing items. These are like the top ones, right? Immune to silence. Yep, more healing. This could counter assassins, right? With star earring, but fixed damage. If she dies, fixed damage won't help. That, yeah, I don't see anybody using bracers. Nope. None yet. None there. None there. So I'm just kind of going down the list, and honestly, no, I just don't believe anybody will be using bracers or immune to fixed damage. So if you can get an assassin to kill her off, the fixed damage will take care of her even if she 3C. However, do keep in mind that before she 3Cs, she only have 1 life. So it's only after she 3Cs that she have double life. So keep that in mind and think about how to counter. I do want to show off one game where the fixed damage killed me. It's not an Apex game, but it's actually a World Arena game that I played today against Vitality that has caught me completely off guard. So, and this is an Apex map, so it makes a little bit more sense, you know, than showing off the regular World Arena map. So let's just take a look at what happened and how the heck I got my Rozenciel got overran. I even had a faction buff for her, but she's quite fragile. She's quite fragile. And I did 3C, and me thinking, hey, if I 3C, you know, with extra life, I should be okay, right? At least that's what I thought. So with that, with 3 immunity, that wasn't still not enough. I think he did add some, yeah, debuffs on me. And then the bad part is that Rean had the demon sword, which I think removes some of my buffs. And that was the other problem. Unfortunately, I can't pause in War Arena replays, so I can't show you what or check what buff was removed. So we both playing an AoE team, and I thought I was winning, but my problem is my juggler is away and is not helping to heal my team. Wow, he has Diana and just completely got his team back to full life. Now I'm kind of stuck, and this is where it comes. Completely destroy both my Rozenciel and my Tennyo. Oh my goodness. I didn't. So this is 3 against 5, and how did I win? I don't know, but yeah, let's not even worry about it. But anyways, you saw what happened. Clearly, he has his avatar as Joshua, so he has a very strong Joshua. But I give him prompts. So, with all that said, I hope you found my recommendation helpful today regarding how to deal with Rozenciel. And you know, if you found this video helpful, please remember to subscribe to my channel for more Langrisser mobile content. I do thank you for joining me today, and good luck with your games this weekend. Take care and aloha.